who's already voted versus who's left to come. We will see who votes tomorrow, plus a bit of pre-poll. But then when there's 23% out in some of the seats that decide this, it's a cliche to say it's a long night. It's already a long night because we've got to see what happens in WA.
Yeah.
But again, nothing's inevitable, right?
Which makes me think how frustrating it is to have someone in the Liberal Party who made the decision to come up with a housing policy 1 week out from the election, a housing policy that to me connected to what happened at COVID. That is, a lot of Australians accessed their super to get ahead. They showed a predilection like never before in political history to access their super. Who would have thought? That's why this policy was such a getter. And I just wonder why you would leave it 1 week out from the end.
They should have brought it a week earlier.
Easily.
It's one of the only policies of the entire campaign that would actually change an undecided
Point of difference too. Great point of difference.
That's true, but I think the logic was that half the country's still left to vote. Generally, a policy announcement like that only lasts for 2 days. So do you want to burn that effect 1 week early because of how many people were early voting, or take 2 days out of the final week, which is part of the surge you're talking about? Chris?
Yeah, well, I think, look, we'll know, if they win the election, the coalition, they'll say that was a masterstroke. But my sense is that whole event should have happened a week earlier, because that policy is fantastic. It's practical, and it splits the parties on ideological grounds too. But I thought that speech and that launch of Morrison's changed the campaign for the better too. It was the first time he really outlined a positive future agenda, which is what his campaign had been lacking. So, I would have thought that whole event and policy announcement a week earlier would have really generated more momentum in the last 2 weeks. But who knows, it could be happening strongly enough now. As you say, none of us have got data to follow through on this, and I'm always very suspicious
Nor do
of
the
what
Labor
either
people,
party,
we should say,
having worked inside campaigns, what they say about their internal polling. They're always trying to they guard that information very carefully. They're trying to shape the narrative. But I think this election is going to be extraordinarily close, and I don't know that we'll be waiting for Western Australia, because if Labor's only a couple of seats away from forming a majority, we probably expect they're going to get those couple in the West. It's if the Libs can pick up a few seats here and there, Fowler, well, it wouldn't be a Lib, but if they could take Fowler, we all want that. But if there's a Gilmore, a Parramatta, a Corangamite, straight away then it's going to be almost impossible for Labor to win enough seats.
That's the key point, that the number of seats the Liberal Party could win could offset their losses, and that's what Labor's polling, Labor's strategy isn't taking into account.
Okay, let's do some quick hits.